Now, our preliminary investigation into the murder of Mr. Blackshire has revealed that Officer Charles Starks used an unreasonable and excessive amount of force when he shot Mr. Blackshire repeatedly on February 22nd, 2019. Also, Officer Michael Simpson, who arrived at the scene during Starks' murderous assault, unconstitutionally failed to intervene and protect Mr. Blackshire from Officer Starks' violent and unlawful behavior. Now, Mr. Blackshire was not without his flaws, but he also was not without his trauma. Too many people in our community share in the trauma of being victims and witnesses to gun violence. That's why it was so fatally foolish for Starks to jump out of his patrol SUV and immediately draw a gun on Mr. Blackshire. And for what? Starks stated that Mr. Blackshire was in a vehicle that was reported stolen. But, and this is very important, we have seen nothing that indicates that Mr. Blackshire knew that the car he borrowed that day was stolen. What we do know is that Mr. Blackshire lawfully turned into the parking lot, backed into a parking space, and within seconds was looking down the barrel of Starks' gun. Mr. Blackshire was not given the dignity of being treated as if he was presumed innocent of the non-violent crime that he was suspected of committing. Starks did not approach the car calmly. Starks did not even ask Mr. Blackshire if he knew that the car he was in that day was stolen. Instead, Starks immediately pointed his gun at Mr. Blackshire, an unsuspecting Mr. Blackshire. And Mr. Blackshire was scared. He was scared. Mr. Blackshire did not get out of the car and walk towards the man who was pointing a gun at him. And the car Mr. Blackshire was in began to roll forward. Mr. Blackshire did not slam on the gas. Mr. Blackshire did not run over Starks. He did not run over anybody for that matter. Instead, the car crept slowly forward as Starks backed away from the car. Now, the question is, just how slow was this car traveling? How slow was Mr. Blackshire going in the car before it initially stopped? Well, the car moved for 5 seconds before it initially came to a stop. 5 seconds, or around there. In these 5 seconds that the car was moving, it did not even fully make its way out of the parking space it was originally in. In other words, after 5 seconds of movement, part of the car was still in the same parking space it was in when Starks initially drew his gun on Mr. Blackshire. The car was moving so slowly that when the fender of the car made contact with Starks' left thigh, Starks did not fall to the ground. Starks remained standing. and the car immediately stopped upon making contact with Starks' left thigh. Now, this is important. When the car initially came to a stop, Starks did not move towards the driver's side door and demand Mr. Blackshire get out of the vehicle. Instead, Starks foolishly stepped in front of the vehicle and shot Mr. Blackshire repeatedly. The car then rolled slowly towards the back of the parking lot. And at this time, the car remained motionless for over 10 seconds. Over 10 seconds, the car remained motionless. Motionless for over 10 seconds, while neither of the officers on the scene or at the scene were in the car's path. Motionless for over 10 seconds, while the car was facing away from the only exit out of the parking lot. Motionless for over 10 seconds, while Mr. Blackshire looked over to the traumatized young lady sitting in the passenger seat. Starks then fired into the motionless car again. Shortly thereafter, the car then rolled to the back of the parking lot where Mr. Blackshire's lifeless body was unceremoniously placed on the ground, shirtless and in the rain, his body riddled with bullets. You will see a video of this murder. And in this video, you will not see an officer who was scared for his life. Instead, you will see a predator who stepped in front of a car to kill his prey. But what Starks will soon realize is that Mr. Blackshire was not his prey. He was a brother. He was a father of 5. He was a son. He was the loved one of a family that now has the determination, the resources, and the will to zealously prosecute the unlawful, unconstitutional, and criminal actions of Starks. We are calling on the state police to conduct a complete, transparent, and unbiased investigation of Mr. Blackshire's murder. As the Little Rock Police Department should not be the sole investigator of the homicidal actions of one of their own. We are calling on the city to turn over to the family all audio and video recordings of the incident, all completed reports, and all statements made by the officers involved. We've already demanded these materials and haven't received them yet. These materials should be turned over now in the interest of expedient transparency. We are calling on the community to come to us and provide us with any information or video footage they have concerning the murder of Mr. Blackshire, concerning Mr. Blackshire coming to early grief. You may contact us at 312-243-5885. 5900. Well, while the time for grieving has obviously not come to an end, the pursuit of justice has only begun. Now we'll hear from Mr. Blackshire's parents. After they talk, we ask that you respect that we're not taking questions at this time, as we ourselves have a lot more questions than we have answers. First, we'll hear from Ms. Blackshire.
The media has made Bradley out to be a monster, which he was not. He had his issues as a young black man. Some things he wasn't proud of, but we all have our own issues as well. He was a great person with a genuine heart. Bradley has always been an advocate for other people. Whether it was his friends or family or just random strangers, or someone that he just met. I've seen him take the shirt literally off his back to give it to someone. I work in the field of substance abuse. And my son was one of those types that he was always trying to get somebody some help, whether it was that they were homeless or that they were on drugs of some type or whatever it was. He would always call me, Mama, such and such is gonna call you. I got somebody right here that can talk to you. This morning, I witnessed firsthand what an impact this has on our family. My nieces and nephews were trying to get themselves together. They were all in my house this morning trying to get themselves together to go to school this morning. And one of them said, "But I don't do that. My Uncle Bradley do that for me every day." He took his nieces and nephews to school. I have two daughters. Bradley was in the middle of the two girls. And they don't know how to pick their lives up and put them back together right now. We as a family, that was my only son. I don't know how to I can't change what you guys put in paper as far as the media, and I can't change what's facts on paper. But what I do know is who he was as a son, as a friend, as a father. I had to try to explain to his 2-year-old and 3-year-old and 5-year-old when they saw him laying in that casket, that they believed their daddy was just sleeping. Somebody needed to wake him up. And how do you explain to them that you can't wake him up, that he's not coming back? And how do we go from here explaining to them what has taken place? I'm watching my nieces and my nephews, his nieces and his nephews talk about the police killed their uncle. And this is why our communities are apart the way that they are. No one has tried to find out if this family needs if they need to see a psychiatrist, if they need to see a therapist, if somebody needs to come and just talk to the family and help the family through this. Where is the support that they say that the police department has in place for the mourning families? Where is the support that the city says that's in place for the families, the victims of crimes? We've not gotten any other than the support of individuals that are a part of our lives. Those individuals that have walked with us through this. But our city tells us that this is where our taxpayers, see, I'm a taxpayer. You know, this is where our taxpayers, this is where our dollars go. But we've not seen any of these resources that they say that are in place for families. So I can only imagine what all of the other families have went through. You know, I'm just calling on our community leaders. Somebody help us right here. Somebody give us some answers, because we don't have any. And nobody seems to want to give us any.
You know, during a time like this, a time of loss of a loved one, you would expect some type of outside entities to step in and give us the support or some answers that we need, that we're looking for. You know, I know you media guys, y'all have a job to do, and y'all only reported what was given to you. But not none doing this report have we heard anything about what Officer Stark stood for. All those things will come out through our attorney and the other gentleman, Brother Rosso and Brother Benny. They will, Omar, they will bring this out about this officer. You know, there's a picture painted of him of being a good American citizen. You know, here in America, a young black male, the law state that we were innocent until proven guilty. Now here in America, you're guilty until you're proven innocent. So many lives have been taken by individuals that are brought into our communities to serve and protect our community. And it's sad. You know, you figure being an officer of the law, there will be some type of preventive measures where you would come to bring this into a peaceful, something peaceful where this could have been diffused. You know, my pops was a law enforcement agent for over 30 years, and he would tell me that I would have to watch out for things like this. Never once I thought it would be one I loved. On behalf of our family, we want to thank all of you that are supportive of us. We want to thank BCD for allowing us to have this conference here, this press conference here. And once again, we ask that all of you that are out there that have some type of information that can help us, would you please contact our attorney, please. Because this could have been one of your family members.
Amen.
Thank you guys for coming up.
Yes.
Thank you.